Hey guys, Will here. So, BigBear.ai, one of the companies that has been implementing new scanning of your face technology, if you want to call it that, for Denver International Airport. I saw someone mention New York. I personally saw it at Denver International. It's at Heathrow Airport as well. And when we look at their stock, we've been covering them since just under $2. So actually back here at $1 a share. And one of the things that we love to see about Big Bear AI is this consistent pattern that's developing. When we see the company start to have partnerships with companies like Palantir or start to build out technology that's going to be very favorable for processing large amounts of data when you have people coming over the border or going through airports and being able to process that data so that you can identify threats or identify when someone should be able to cross or not cross into different jurisdictions. That's something that you don't have quite often in any tech around the world that's so widely needed across all of border patrol, across all of the international entries and exits into the United States. And the reason why it's so needed is because, we're trying to do it anyway. You have a human trying to do it. And if you have a human trying to do it, oftentimes that's going to mean they're going to have to make millions of decisions. They got to look at all the data. How are you going to identify anomalies? Well, AI has proven to be much more effective at that than humans for finding financial discrepancies, finding people that should be in a different place when they say they're here, they're actually here, and things like that, or just identifying threats. That's a big deal that Big Bear is solving here. And so you can see this trend line also start to identify itself. You can see right here, it's kind of this lower level. If we get to higher highs, we're looking at $5 plus. Again, we got in at $2.80. We've been covering it here. Got a long-term position over in my Schwab account. But part of the reason why they've seen this recovery and continuation of the trend, and now today up 15%, is because they have some things working in their favor. There's going to be like a lot of examples. For example, one thing we're going to get into is some of the shipping companies that are standing to benefit or not benefit from changing from, if there's a conflict in the Suez Canal or things like that. We're going all the way around Africa instead for shipping. Shipping costs are going to get more expensive and things like that. So you just got to consider these things. And the same thing is true for policy related to border patrol. If we look at Big Bear AI, you'll see they recently got a new CEO, and their CEO is someone that is already heavily involved and has been on the administration's side of things for the Homeland Security and Border Patrol. And so they got this new CEO. They let go of their other one, Mandy Long, I believe her name was, and they got a new CEO here who specializes and has a lot of experience in border security as well. So you could see the news here and some of the news. So there's three things we look at. We look at the market. So we're in AI and we're in a large language model processing in national security here, okay? Or Homeland Security, Department of Defense. That's what we're looking at here. That's an industry that's going to grow. A lot of that's going to have to do with more conflicts with other countries. Some of it has to do with just AI in general, but that market is expected to grow. So market looks good. The second thing we look at is the analysis. So we just covered this technical analysis. It looks like it could sell off if it gets up to this previous high, but we see it really up 16% today. And the RSI MACD looking a little overextended, but you like to see it hold this consistent pattern. It's a little more risk on the near term. Long term looks good, but near term does seem a little more risky to try and capitalize on this 20-cent swing as opposed to maybe getting an entry down here around $4 if you're trading it on the near term. Someone that's holding longer term, not too much to worry about. But when we look at the second piece, which is analysis, we look at technicals. Second, we look at or A is technicals, B is the news, and then C is the financials. And so then we get into number 3, which will be the plan. What's the plan? Next steps for Big Bear AI. Let's do that as well. Bless me. So Big Bear AI was awarded this contract, IDIQ. They're kind of on demand for the U.S. Department of Defense as well as U.S. Navy seaports. That's a big deal. But also, they got this new CEO. And if you take a look at what this means for the company, you can see that as they're transitioning to this new CEO, this CEO was the acting secretary of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security during the first Trump administration before founding Pangiam, which is subsequently bought by Big Bear in 2024. Prior to Pangiam, McClellan was commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, where he focused on counterterrorism, border security, and immigration enforcement following almost 2 decades as a career official. So you can see this is someone that has a career in the exact industry that they are already in. And so that's a big thing. You can see Mandy Long says, it has been a privilege to lead such a talented and dedicated team of professionals over the past 2.5 years. The future is bright, and Big Bear AI and its mission to deliver clarity for the world's most complex decisions, looks bright. So as we start to change direction towards what are some of their contracts, what does this look like? We know they work with Department of Defense. They have a partnership with Palantir. I saw them at Denver International Airport. You can see even here, I was working in Boulder, Colorado, and I lived there for about 2 years. And during that time, I was occasionally flying back home to family in California, and then also flying. I was traveling. I went to Argentina. My wife's from Argentina. Went to Colombia as well. And during that time, we'd go through here. You can see it says, today announced successfully installation of their VeriScan, Big Bear AI's biometric verification solution at Denver International Airport. It's now deployed at 14 international departure gates at Denver and impacting the boarding process of over 46,000 international departing passengers. So today, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection is congressionally mandated to implement a biometric entry-exit system. So this is basically, how do you have all of these scans of faces and be able to easily go through security, or better yet, be able to identify when there's threats? Because a human... But so for the news, that looks pretty good. There's also a lot of contracts related outside of that. There's contracts, $165 million delivering U.S. Army's Global Force Information Management. So more information management, that's what you would expect. You also got Federal Aviation Administration, so IT solutions. And then they got some other ones. Big Bear's Troy, AI for reverse engineering and cybersecurity. And so the partnerships, the DoD, the Army, the Navy, the international airports, the border security, paired with someone as in that world as their CEO they have now, it's a pretty good combination. And then so the other thing is about Big Bear is we've talked about Big Bear, but they just passed $1 billion market cap, so they're really starting to grow. When you look at their financials, it doesn't quite match up on the net income. Net income's still negative 12 million. Their diluted EPS, you can see it negative 266%. The net profit margins are down negative 29%. So there's not anything there that you look at it and you say, wow, that looks great. But when you look on all the quarters combined, you see that the net in cash increasing, net in cash does increase. And now as we get into this quarter, we're going to very closely be looking at their new balance, their income statements and what have you as we get into the next quarter. There is buying what could be, you're buying a startup in this space, so you got to keep that in mind. So when it comes to Big Bear AI, we have this pattern that's looking a little overextended. The financials, iffy. We'd like to see some improvement there. The news are really promising articles that we've seen, and a lot of the contracts look good. Now, as we start to see this, potentially if we get to higher highs, we could see a surge above $5. And we're not looking at a huge margin for profit on that near term. It's like 10% to maybe 20%, which is nice. Downside looks a little more eminent here, 15 to 20%. But the good thing about Big Bear AI is that it has this consistent pattern. Everything that it's been doing has been healthy. They said, a lot of people commented on our videos back here in November that it's a pump and dump. It's just going to go up, it's going to go down. And that's understandable when you have a company that doesn't have the best financials. It's just starting to get some momentum, but it's been couldn't be further from the truth as we've seen it get this consistent momentum, start to build healthy patterns into its charts. And that's what we're going to be capitalizing on at market open. Our portfolio's up 5.5% today on some trades in Rigetti stock. So it's a quantum computing stock. We also trade AI and space stocks. If you guys would like to be there at market open, we go live in Stockmates each day at market open, and you can access that, see my entries, my exits, and watch me trade live, and surround yourself with other traders and investors in that second link down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I hope I earned your thumbs up, and if you got value out of this, do consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.